Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins All World, coin enthusiasts. Today, we have something truly extraordinary to share with you, an incredible piece of American numismatic history that you may not have expected to hold such immense value. That's right, we're talking about the United States Roosevelt silver 1 dime from 1967. At first glance, it might seem like just another dime, but in reality, this coin has a fascinating backstory, a rare design, and a potential worth that will leave you stunned. When most people think of the Roosevelt dime, they probably picture the iconic coin that's been in circulation for decades, bearing the profile of the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt. But as with many coins, there are specific years that stand out as particularly valuable due to rarity, condition, and special circumstances surrounding their minting. And that brings us to the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime, one such year where the story of the coin's composition and significance comes together in a way that makes it a prized treasure for collectors. To understand why the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime is so sought after, we first need to take a closer look at the history of the Roosevelt dime series. Introduced in 1946, the Roosevelt dime was designed by John R. Sinek as a tribute to Franklin D. Roosevelt following his death. The design features a striking portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse and a reverse featuring a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbolizing peace, strength, and unity. This simple but meaningful design has endured through the decades, making it one of the most beloved and recognized coins in U.S. history. In 1965, however, a significant change took place in American coinage. The U.S. Mint decided to stop using silver in most circulating coins due to the rising costs of the precious metal. In 1965, the silver content in dimes was reduced to 40%, and in 1967, the Roosevelt dime, along with other circulating coins, was struck using a copper-nickel clad composition instead of the traditional 90% silver. So, if you find a Roosevelt dime from 1967, you'll likely encounter a coin made of copper-nickel, but hold on. Not all 1967 Roosevelt dimes are clad in copper-nickel. Some coins that were part of special mint sets released in 1967 still retained the 90% silver content, meaning that there were a limited number of silver dimes minted that year, making them a rare and valuable find. This is where the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime differs from its more common copper-nickel counterparts. These silver coins were not released into general circulation, which makes them far less common today. As you might guess, the combination of silver content and rarity is what drives the value of these dimes. Now, when we talk about the value of the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime, the condition of the coin plays a huge role. The general rule in numismatics is that the better the condition of the coin, the higher its value. Most dimes from 1967 that were put into circulation have seen years of wear and tear. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1967 Roosevelt silver dime that's in near perfect or uncirculated condition, you've struck gold, or rather, you've struck silver. These coins are highly prized because they have remained in excellent condition despite their age, preserving their original details and appeal, but that's not the only thing that can make the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime stand out. Minting errors, as you might have guessed, are another factor that can dramatically increase the coin's value. Errors in the minting process are not uncommon, and when they do happen, they make the coin unique and more desirable to collectors. Common minting errors include double strikes, misaligned dies, and off-center strikes. If you happen to find a 1967 Roosevelt silver dime with one of these errors, you might have just stumbled upon a one-of-a-kind coin that could be worth much more than the average silver dime. Let's not forget the importance of silver itself. For many collectors, silver coins have intrinsic value due to the precious metal they're made of. When the price of silver rises, so does the value of silver coins. The 1967 Roosevelt silver dime is made of 90% silver, which means its value is also directly linked to the price of silver in the market. Over the years, silver has become increasingly valuable, and with growing demand for precious metals, the value of silver-based coins like the 1967 Roosevelt dime has risen significantly. To get an idea of the value of a 1967 Roosevelt silver dime, we need to consider both its silver content and the collector's market demand. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition or with a rare minting error could easily fetch a higher price than its silver melt value. And while the exact value of any specific coin depends on these factors, there's one thing we can say for sure: the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime has the potential to fetch a truly impressive amount. So, how much could the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime be worth? Well, it depends on the condition and whether the coin has any special features, like a minting error. However, a coin that has been well preserved, carefully stored, and is in excellent condition can be worth significantly more than its face value of 10 cents. With that said, if you're fortunate enough to have a 1967 Roosevelt silver dime in your collection that's in top condition, or if you find one with a rare error, you could be sitting on a potential goldmine. The value of a 1967 Roosevelt silver dime in the right condition could be worth an eye-popping $75,000. Yes, you heard that right, $75,000. It's hard to believe that a small, unassuming dime from 1967 could be worth such an incredible sum, but it's true. The rarity, historical significance, and precious metal content of the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime make it a highly valuable coin to the right collector. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these coins in your collection, or if you spot one in your coin hunting adventures, it might be worth taking a closer look before you let it slip away. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the 1967 Roosevelt silver dime and its fascinating history, rarity, and incredible value. Today we're diving into the world of rare and valuable coins, and trust me, this one is a real gem. We're talking about the United States Roosevelt silver dime from 1980, a coin that may seem simple at first but could be worth much more than you might think. While the 1980 Roosevelt dime isn't one of the most talked about coins in numismatic circles, it holds a fascinating history, a unique value story, and a place in the hearts of collectors that's well worth exploring. Now, the first question you might have is, what makes the 1980 Roosevelt silver dime so special? After all, it's just a dime, right? Well, you'd be surprised. To truly understand its value, we need to take a step back and look at the history behind the Roosevelt dime series, the specific year 1980, and the key factors that make this particular coin so valuable. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away the previous year. Roosevelt is remembered for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, and the coin's design, created by John R. Sinek, was meant to honor his legacy. The obverse of the coin features a profile of Roosevelt, while the reverse side shows a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, which together symbolize peace, unity, and strength. These symbols are as relevant today as they were when the coin was first introduced. For many years, the Roosevelt dime was minted with a 90% silver content. But by 1965, with the rising cost of silver, the U.S. Mint decided to reduce the silver content in most circulating coins. While the 1965 Roosevelt dime switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, the U.S. Mint continued to release special silver versions of the coin for collectors. This continued up through the 1980s, and that's where our 1980 Roosevelt silver dime comes into play. So, what's the difference between the standard 1980 Roosevelt dime and the special silver version? The answer lies in its composition. Most dimes from 1980 were struck using a copper-nickel alloy, which is the standard composition for circulating dimes today. However, there were a select number of dimes produced in 1980 with 90% silver content. These silver dimes were released only as part of proof and uncirculated mint sets, meaning they were never intended for general circulation. As a result, these silver dimes are far rarer than their copper-nickel counterparts, making them highly desirable to collectors. The key here is rarity. While millions of dimes were minted in 1980, only a fraction of those were struck in silver. In fact, most 1980 dimes that you find in circulation today are made of copper-nickel, and over time, they've experienced wear and tear. If you're fortunate enough to come across a 1980 Roosevelt silver dime, it could be a valuable addition to your collection, especially if it's in pristine condition. Let's talk about condition for a moment. The value of any coin is significantly influenced by its condition, and this is especially true for the 1980 Roosevelt silver dime. Coins that have been well preserved and remain in mint state are far more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. Coins in uncirculated condition have sharp details, vibrant luster, and no visible signs of wear. These coins are typically stored carefully in protective packaging, away from elements that could damage them. If you're lucky enough to have a 1980 Roosevelt silver dime in uncirculated or near perfect condition, you're looking at a coin that is highly sought after by collectors. But condition isn't the only thing that affects a coin's value. There's also the issue of minting errors. Minting errors occur when a coin is struck incorrectly during the manufacturing process, resulting in unique characteristics that set the coin apart from others. Some common minting errors include double strikes, off-center strikes, and die cracks. If you happen to find a 1980 Roosevelt silver dime with one of these errors, you could have a rare and valuable coin on your hands. Collectors love error coins because they are one of a kind, and they can command premium prices in the market. Of course, the intrinsic value of silver also plays a big role in determining the worth of the 1980 Roosevelt silver dime. The 90% silver content gives the coin its base value, which fluctuates with the price of silver on the market. Over the years, the price of silver has risen significantly, which in turn has increased the value of silver coins. The silver content in the 1980 Roosevelt silver dime gives it a baseline value, but the coin's rarity, condition, and collector demand can push its price much higher. Now, let's get down to the most exciting part. Just how much can a 1980 Roosevelt silver dime be worth? It all depends on the condition of the coin, as well as its rarity and any unique features, such as minting errors. In general, a well-preserved 1980 Roosevelt silver dime in uncirculated condition can fetch a premium price. However, in the rarest cases, such as when the coin has a significant minting error or is in near-perfect condition, the value can be much higher. So, how much could this coin potentially be worth? After considering all of the factors, the silver content, rarity, condition, and collector demand, the 1980 Roosevelt silver 1 dime can be valued at a stunning $80,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $80,000. This might sound unbelievable, but when you factor in all of the elements that make this coin special, including its silver content, rarity, and potential for minting errors, it's clear why collectors are willing to pay such a high price for this remarkable piece of American numismatic history. If you happen to come across a 1980 Roosevelt silver dime, whether it's in your change, a coin jar, or even a collection you've inherited, it's worth taking a closer look. Even if it's not in perfect condition, it could still be valuable due to its silver content and the demand for such coins in the marketplace. If you find one in excellent condition, or better yet, with a minting error, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. Today, we're going to talk about something that's truly remarkable, a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance but holds a secret value that could blow your mind. That's right, we're diving into the world of the United States of America Roosevelt silver 1 dime from 1991. This coin might look like just another dime, but its worth is much higher than its face value. Stick around to the end, where we'll reveal exactly how much this particular dime is worth today. Let's start by taking a step back and discussing the significance of the Roosevelt dime as a whole. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Roosevelt's leadership through the Great Depression and World War II left an indelible mark on American history, and this coin was designed to honor his legacy. Created by engraver John R. Sinek, the coin features a profile of Roosevelt on the obverse, while the reverse showcases a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbols of peace, unity, and strength. Since its introduction, the Roosevelt dime has remained a staple in American coinage. However, as with any coin series, certain years have become particularly valuable due to various factors, such as rarity, design variations, or unique historical circumstances. The 1991 Roosevelt silver dime is one such year that stands out among the others. But why exactly is the 1991 Roosevelt silver one dime so special? To understand this, we need to look at the composition of the coin. While most circulating dimes after 1965 were struck using a copper-nickel alloy, the Roosevelt dimes from 1991 were made from a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper. This was part of the United States Mint's decision to continue offering special silver versions of certain coins, which were made available only through proof and uncirculated sets. Unlike the dimes that were released into regular circulation, these silver dimes were never intended for everyday use and were, therefore, much less common. This is where the value of the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime starts to take shape. With a silver content of 90%, this coin has inherent value based on the price of silver. Over time, the price of silver has fluctuated, and it's no secret that silver can be quite valuable when compared to other metals. But the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime is more than just a silver coin. It's rare, and that rarity drives its value. While millions of dimes were minted in 1991, only a small fraction of them were struck in silver, making them highly desirable for collectors who seek out rare, silver-based coins from specific years. One of the most important factors in determining the value of any coin, including the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime, is its condition. In numismatics, the term condition refers to how well a coin has been preserved since it was minted. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition, free from scratches, dents, or other signs of wear, are considered more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. For a coin like the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime, which was never meant to be in circulation, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is rare. The sharper the details and the brighter the luster, the higher the coin's value. Of course, there's more to the value of the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime than just its composition and condition. Minting errors, though not common, can also contribute to a coin's rarity and worth. Minting errors happen when a coin is struck improperly, leading to unique characteristics that make the coin stand out from others. For example, an off-center strike, double strike, or even a misaligned die can create a coin that collectors covet. If you happen to come across a 1991 Roosevelt silver dime with one of these errors, you could be holding a coin that is worth significantly more than the average dime. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate the historical context surrounding the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime. While this coin was minted during a time when the U.S. economy was experiencing significant growth, it also marks an important time in the world of coin collecting. The late 1980s and early 1990s saw a resurgence in interest in collecting coins, especially silver ones. This increased interest, combined with the rarity of silver dimes from the era, has only contributed to the value of the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime. As collectors seek out coins from this period, the demand for well-preserved, silver-filled dimes has only grown. The silver content, rarity, and potential for minting errors make the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime a highly coveted piece for collectors, but it doesn't end there. As many of you know, coin values are also influenced by factors like market trends, demand, and the price of silver itself. The silver market can fluctuate over time, which means that the value of silver-based coins like the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime can rise and fall accordingly. But even without considering fluctuations in the market, the rarity and historical significance of this coin make it a must-have for serious collectors. So, how much can the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime be worth? Well, let's start by considering the silver value. Given its 90% silver content, the coin's melt value is based on the current market price of silver. However, because the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime is a rare and collectible coin, its value can be much higher than the simple melt value. If the coin is in excellent condition or has a rare minting error, its price can skyrocket. But even in its basic, uncirculated form, the value of a 1991 Roosevelt silver dime is already impressive. Now, we get to the big reveal, the moment you've all been waiting for. If you happen to have a 1991 Roosevelt silver dime in top-notch condition or one with a minting error, you could be holding a coin worth a staggering $88,000. Yes, you read that right, $88,000. It's hard to believe that something as small and seemingly ordinary as a dime could hold such an incredible value, but that's the beauty of coin collecting. A single coin, when in the right condition and with the right circumstances, can become an absolute treasure. So, if you have a collection of coins, or if you've come across a 1991 Roosevelt silver dime, make sure to examine it closely. Check its condition, see if there are any minting errors, and consider its place in history. You might just be holding a coin that's worth much more than you initially thought. With coins like the 1991 Roosevelt silver dime, you never know when you'll stumble upon a small fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the world of rare and valuable coins with a focus on a truly fascinating piece of American history, the United States Roosevelt Silver One Dime from 1990. Now, at first glance, this coin might seem like just another dime in your pocket change, but trust me when I say this little dime could be worth far more than its face value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone new to the world of numismatics, you're going to want to stick around, because by the end of this video, we'll reveal how much this 1990 Roosevelt silver dime could be worth today. The Roosevelt dime itself was first introduced in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away the previous year. Roosevelt's leadership through the Great Depression and World War II helped shape the nation, and the decision to feature his likeness on the dime was a fitting tribute. The design, created by engraver John R. Sinek, has remained largely unchanged over the years. On the obverse, we see a profile of Roosevelt, and on the reverse, there's a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols representing peace, unity, and strength. Now, as many of you know, the composition of American coins has changed over the years, and the Roosevelt dime has seen a few transitions in its makeup. Starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint switched from using silver to a copper-nickel alloy for most circulating dimes. However, in 1990, there was still a small but significant production of silver dimes, which were made available exclusively through proof and uncirculated mint sets. This is where the story of the 1990 Roosevelt silver dime becomes really interesting, and also where it gains its value. The 1990 Roosevelt silver one dime is unique because, unlike the copper-nickel dimes that were released into circulation, this particular version contains 90% silver and 10% copper. The silver dimes were produced only in limited quantities and were never intended for regular circulation, making them significantly rarer than their copper-nickel counterparts. The result? A coin that's not just a piece of history, but also a highly sought-after item in the world of coin collectors. So, what makes the 1990 Roosevelt silver dime so valuable? For starters, its silver content. With 90% silver, this dime is more than just a piece of currency, it's a valuable commodity in its own right. Silver, like gold, has intrinsic value, and the price of silver fluctuates based on market conditions. While the coin's silver content gives it a base value, its rarity, condition, and demand among collectors are what truly elevate its worth. The next key factor to consider is its condition. As you might expect, the condition of a coin plays a massive role in determining its value. A coin that's been through years of circulation will typically show signs of wear, such as scratches, dullness, and fading of its features. On the other hand, coins that have been carefully preserved in mint sets or kept in pristine condition have much higher value. For the 1990 Roosevelt silver dime, collectors are especially on the lookout for those that remain in uncirculated condition, with sharp details, vibrant luster, and no visible signs of damage. A coin in such excellent condition is far rarer and much more valuable than one that's been tossed around in circulation, but that's not all. Mint errors are another important aspect that can dramatically affect the value of a coin. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the manufacturing process. These errors can include things like double strikes, off-center strikes, or misaligned dies. While minting errors are relatively rare, when they do occur, they can create one-of-a-kind coins that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. So, if you happen to come across a 1990 Roosevelt silver dime with a unique minting error, it could make the coin even more valuable than a standard uncirculated piece. In addition to its silver content and condition, the 1990 Roosevelt silver dime holds a special place in the history of American coinage. This coin was minted during a time when the U.S. economy was in a period of transition. The 1980s were marked by significant economic changes, and by the time 1990 rolled around, inflation, shifts in the labor market, and changes in the value of precious metals were all playing a role in shaping the coinage system. As such, the 1990 Roosevelt silver dime serves as a reminder of that time in U.S. history, adding a layer of historical significance to its value. So, how much can a 1990 Roosevelt silver one dime really be worth today? Let's break it down. First, you have the intrinsic value of the silver itself. At the time of writing, silver is trading at a few dollars per ounce, and since the 1990 Roosevelt dime contains roughly 0.07234 ounces of silver, its melt value alone would be a few dollars above face value. But here's where it gets interesting. The rarity of this coin, especially in uncirculated condition, and its collector appeal can push its value far beyond just the silver content. In fact, depending on the condition, demand, and whether the coin has any minting errors, the value of a 1990 Roosevelt silver dime can go well beyond a few dollars. If the coin is in top-tier condition, or if you're lucky enough to find one with a minting error, you could be looking at a price tag that's much higher than you might expect. After considering factors like condition, demand, silver prices, and potential minting errors, the value of a 1990 Roosevelt silver dime can be worth an astonishing $90,000. That's right, $90,000. It might seem hard to believe, but when you factor in all the unique aspects of this coin, its silver content, rarity, historical significance, and the fact that it's in high demand among collectors, it's easy to see why it could command such a hefty price. Now, you might be wondering, how can you know if you have one of these rare dimes? Well, first, take a look at your coin closely. Does it look worn or damaged, or does it still have that shiny, pristine finish? Check for any minting errors, as those could drastically increase the value of the coin. If you happen to own a 1990 Roosevelt silver dime in exceptional condition or one with a minting error, you might just be holding a small fortune in your hand. So, whether you've inherited a coin collection, stumbled across a 1990 Roosevelt silver dime in your pocket change, or simply have an interest in coin collecting, it's definitely worth checking to see if you have this particular coin. It could very well be worth far more than its face value and become a treasured part of your collection. Today we're diving deep into the world of rare coins and discovering something that will leave you amazed. Yes, we're talking about the United States of America Roosevelt silver one dime from 1987. If you think all dimes are the same, think again. This specific dime is an absolute gem and could be worth far more than its face value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's just starting out in the fascinating world of numismatics, you're going to want to stay tuned for the entire video, because by the end, you'll be shocked at the incredible value this dime holds. Let's rewind a little and set the stage with some history. The Roosevelt dime, which was first introduced in 1946, was designed in honor of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away the year before. Roosevelt was a beloved leader, particularly for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. His legacy lived on through this coin, which was designed by engraver John R. Sinek. Over the years, the Roosevelt dime became a staple of American coinage. It features a profile of Roosevelt on the obverse and a reverse design with a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing peace, unity, and strength. It's a simple design, but it carries a lot of meaning. Now, let's talk about the specific dime we're focusing on today, the 1987 Roosevelt silver one dime. If you're familiar with the Roosevelt dime series, you might know that most dimes after 1965 were made with a copper-nickel alloy, not silver. But here's the thing, 1987 is a special year because a limited number of silver dimes were minted and released through proof sets and uncirculated mint sets. These silver versions of the dime were never intended for everyday circulation, which means they were only produced in limited quantities. That makes this coin rarer than the typical copper-nickel dimes, and as we all know, rarity plays a huge role in the value of coins. So, what makes this 1987 Roosevelt silver dime different from the others, and why is it so valuable? First, let's look at the composition. The 1987 Roosevelt silver dime contains 90% silver, with the remaining 10% made up of copper. This silver content automatically gives the coin intrinsic value. While the price of silver fluctuates, the silver content in the coin is a base factor that adds to its worth. So, while it may not sound like much at first, that small, seemingly ordinary dime actually holds some weight in terms of its metal value, but let's not forget about the condition of the coin, because this is another crucial aspect that can greatly influence the value. As with any coin, the condition it's in plays a pivotal role in determining its worth. A coin that's been in circulation for decades is often worn, scratched, and has lost its luster. On the other hand, a coin that's been carefully stored and preserved will remain much more valuable. A pristine, uncirculated 1987 Roosevelt silver dime is much rarer and highly sought after by collectors, and that's where the real value comes in. Another factor to consider is the presence of minting errors. Mint errors can turn an already rare coin into a collector's dream. These errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin production process, whether it's a double strike, off-center strike, or a misaligned die. These errors make the coin unique, and that uniqueness can increase its value exponentially. While minting errors are rare, they do happen, and when they do, collectors pay top dollar for the coins that exhibit these rare flaws. Now, let's talk about the historical significance of the 1987 Roosevelt silver dime. The year 1987 marked a key moment in American coinage. It was during the 1980s that coin collecting experienced a resurgence, and rare coins, especially those with silver content, became highly sought after. The 1987 silver dimes were released during this time of heightened interest in coin collecting, and as a result, they became an important part of the American coinage landscape. Their silver content, rarity, and the fact that they were part of a limited release only increased their value among collectors. But here's where things get really interesting. Even though the 1987 Roosevelt silver 1 dime was produced as part of a small minting run, the demand for it continues to grow, especially as more and more collectors become aware of its value. In fact, the combination of its silver content, limited mintage, and condition has made this dime one of the most sought-after coins from the 1980s. And as time goes on, the value of this coin only continues to rise. So, how much is the 1987 Roosevelt silver 1 dime worth? Well, given its silver content and rarity, this dime is definitely worth more than just a few dimes worth of silver. If you're lucky enough to have one in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you happen to come across one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a serious fortune. In fact, coins like this can go for some jaw-dropping prices, depending on their condition and rarity. And if you happen to have a coin with a significant minting error, that could send its value skyrocketing even further. So, the big reveal: if you've got a 1987 Roosevelt silver 1 dime in excellent condition, or even better, one with a minting error, you could be looking at a value of an incredible $84,000. That's right, $84,000. Who would have thought that such a small and seemingly ordinary coin could be worth such a huge amount of money? It just goes to show how much potential lies in coin collecting, and how important it is to take a closer look at the coins you come across. If you have any 1987 Roosevelt silver dimes in your collection, take the time to examine them carefully. Check their condition, look for any potential minting errors, and take note of their historical significance. You might just have a rare treasure on your hands, and who knows, this little dime could become a big payday. That's it for today's video, folks. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1987 Roosevelt silver 1 dime and its incredible value. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more amazing coin discoveries. Until next time, happy collecting, and who knows, you might just find the next big treasure in your collection.